today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Reigning WBC featherweight champion Skye Nicholson tells Amanda Serrano to defend or vacate her featherweight titles.
She's back at it.
Skye Nicholson has the WBC featherweight title and wants a shot at another champion to add more belts to her collection. The problem? Amanda Serrano has two of the other world titles, the WBA and the WBO, and is also the lineal queen. But Nicholson feels that Serrano has no interest in defending her throne. Serrano, immediately after last week's rematch loss to Katie Taylor, was claiming to still be the featherweight champion, but you haven't fought at 126 in over a year. You have no plan to fight at 126 again anytime soon. Nicholson said in an interview with Lewis Hart of Boxing SoCal, "You're already talking about the trilogy with Taylor. It's kind of a bit unfair to keep claiming that and holding those belts and not defending those belts when obviously there's a whole division of girls that are trying to fight for those belts." Nicholson had previously been the WBC's interim featherweight title holder and was in position to challenge Serrano for the full title. Instead, Serrano vacated at the end of last year and Nicholson won the full title in April of 2024 with a wide decision win against former champion Sarah
Good.
Skye is currently en route to a mandated title fight with Tiaria Brown on the undercard of George Kambosos' Matchroom debut early next year in Australia. She's so focused on Amanda, worrying about Amanda, when you gotta worry about Tiara for the time being. At some point, Amanda may come off of those two alphabet titles.
But it'll be on her time, not yours. Not because you said so.
So she wins a vacant WBC title, and since then, Nicholson has defended the WBC title with a shutout win over Diana Vargas in July and a UD win over Raven Chapman in October. Her next fight may come against Tiaria Brown. "Obviously, I'd like to go unified. I want to go undisputed," Nicholson said. "Yeah, it is frustrating. It's a tricky one, and it's annoying. But at the same time, I understand it's a business, and I understand the business point of view of why they do what they do. I get it. But at the same time, there comes a time where it's like, come on. You've either got to vacate the belts or defend the belts. You can't just keep claiming to be the champion and not actually defending it." Nicholson said she would prefer fighting Serrano for those two titles rather than picking up more vacant belts. "I want to prove I'm the best featherweight in the division," said the 29-year-old from Australia.
I don't think all hope is lost for Serrano versus Nicholson, but I do think it's contingent upon what happens between Katie and Amanda.
Or what doesn't happen. Is there going to be a trilogy or not? If there isn't, then maybe Amanda drops back down to featherweight. Maybe she has that Skye Nicholson fight. But if she has it, it's going to be on her terms, not Skye's. And I think that's what often gets lost in this conversation. Amanda's the A-side to Skye.
Skye's not Katie Taylor, in case you're not realizing.
To where her and Amanda were on even footing, Skye and Amanda are not on even footing. Amanda is the clear A-side over her.
That means that Skye would probably have to cross over to the most valuable promotion side of things. It's not going to be a Matchroom show.
And as the boss, she chooses the ring size. If what you're thinking is you're going to go in there in a 24 by 24 foot ring, I doubt it. And Amanda already has the style to beat you. Amanda already has the style to beat Skye Nicholson. What do you think? You're going to win a points decision throwing just 1 and 2 punches at a time to her 4 or 5. She's not Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor actually has inside game. Inside game, outside game, where Skye is limited to boxing from the outside, and I don't think she has the output to keep Amanda off of her. Doesn't have the output, doesn't have the power. So, Amanda Serrano is no longer undisputed at featherweight. The WBC belt now belongs to Nicholson, and Menke picked up the vacant IBF title back in September with a majority decision win over Daniela Bermudez, a common opponent between Nina and Amanda. Nicholson not only believes Serrano won't give her the opportunity, but if Serrano returns to 126, it would be to face Menke.
So what's wrong with Menke? If you fought Menke, it'll be all right. If you fought Nina, it'll be a unification match, so you get mad if Amanda does it?
I like what Skye is doing, and I'm simultaneously annoyed by it, if that makes sense. Because you're talking a good one, but if push comes to shove, and Nikisa Badarian sends you a contract, we'll see how much you want this fight. And how much you don't. Hopefully I can get the unification fight with Nina Menke first, because then there's only one fight she can make. to once again try and become undisputed, Nicholson said. But Nicholson also claims Serrano will demand that their fight have 12 3-minute rounds, rather than the 10 2-minute rounds usually required in a women's pro boxing match. Serrano is among one of several women fighters calling for the option. However, the WBC opposes allowing women to fight for the same amount of time as male champions do. That was Serrano's stated reason for vacating the WBC title at the end of last year. Serrano's sole title fight with 12 3-minute rounds was her win over Danila Ramos.
That caught my attention. That Skye might try to beat Amanda to the punch. Now, Amanda is otherwise preoccupied trying to make a trilogy fight with Katie. That does leave the door open for Skye to make an offer to Nina.
What about Tiara Brown?
The Brown fight hasn't actually been ordered.
And if by some chance it does get ordered, between now and then, Skye can always petition the WBC for an exception to the mandatory to go unify with Nina. As far as fighting Amanda, potentially, for 12 3-minute rounds, Nicholson says she would be willing to fight with longer rounds and a longer distance, even though she otherwise prefers the current standard. I think it keeps women's boxing exciting. It keeps things interesting. But in the same breath, 12 threes suits my style more than anyone's, she said. I'm a patient fighter. I take my time. I set traps. I pick my shots well. I control the distance. I control the pace. If I have more time, I have more time to make you look silly.
Yeah, and when you're fighting girls like Tania Alvarez or Diana Vargas, maybe. Not for this fight. And not in an 18 by 18 foot ring.
Longer rounds does not favor the mover and the jabber, the outboxer, not against the pressure fighter, because that's more time under tension. That's more time that you're under pressure. And the pace will catch up to you before it catches up to her, because she's used to working under harsher conditions than you are, bleeding and cut.
In a war. In wars.
More time in the round does not favor Skye Nicholson in the least. Not for this fight, but you know, it might not even come to that. That if you want it to be for undisputed, you know, I think Amanda can wrap her up in 10-2s just as well.
Do it in Puerto Rico.
Telling you, I don't know what impression people have about this fight, because I do see a small contingent of individuals that are convinced Skye's gonna do to Amanda what she just did to Raven Chapman. I think Raven's great, but she's no Amanda Serrano.
Skye Nicholson's no Katie Taylor.
Contingent upon the Katie Taylor trilogy. If that doesn't happen and Amanda goes back down, this fight is a distinct possibility. And I still have Amanda winning it.
Good thing this guy's talking this much shit, because the more shit she talks, the bigger the fight gets, and the bigger the beating she'll receive.
Careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Men's lightweight news, getting into William Zepeda's lofty explanation for not fighting Shakur Stevenson. He said on his social media, "After our last match, we left with an injury to our left hand. This week we were preparing to return to the gym soon, but for medical evaluation, they recommended 6 to 8 weeks of rest for better recovery. For us, it is important to have this small break to benefit our career. We know that this 2025 will come with great opportunities, and we have to be 100%.
Opportunities to duck.
It's a 100% duck. I thought that William was different. I thought he would be a breath of fresh air in this era of risk-averse fighters, but he isn't. He's the same as everybody else, so I'll treat him like I treat everybody else." I see all of you nationalists out there piping up, giving him the benefit of the doubt, as if I'm gonna do that. I'm not. What do you think? Your tribalism is different from somebody else's? It's the same shit.
Spare me.
One of the biggest problems that William Zepeda faces is there are no world titles of opportunity in the lightweight division. There are none. You don't walk away from Shakur and a shot at his WBC into a shot for the WBO, because Keyshawn Davis is going to be fighting for the WBO against WBO champion Denis Bochinche.
Sperenchik.
Tennis Berenchik.
Raymond Murataya and Zaur Abdullayev are the ones most in line to fight for Loma's IBF title if and when Loma vacates it, and that leaves William out in the cold. There are no world titles of opportunity to fight for at 135. Forget about Gervonta. Gervonta don't care about fighting you.
No, he's fighting Lamont Roach. He's fighting another super featherweight. So if and when William comes back, who does he fight and what does he do? I feel like he's stuck between a rock in a hard place because, as risk-averse as they're being over this Shakur-Stevenson fight, that's actually the fight that stylistically he stands the best chance of winning. You're not going to get knocked out by Shakur, and you're certainly not going to get outworked. He doesn't have the output, the work rate, to outwork William Zepeda. Some of these other fights are actually riskier than that fight. When you talk about Dennis Perenchik, when you talk about Keyshawn Davis,
Those are boxer punchers.
they have the advantage. They have the edge over a pressure guy like William Zepeda, who wants to stand in front of you and let him go. Those are not safe fights.
As much as I don't like Gervonta Davis, that's really not a safe fight for William either. He's a boxer puncher. He's a counter puncher. He relies on the other guy to come to him throwing punches and bunches so he can get off one in between.
The other fights that are out there, what are supposed to be the alternatives, they're not actually safer fights than a Shakur-Stevenson fight. So who does William fight when he comes back? And like I said, the nationalists are already making excuses for him. But if you edge fights solely on your own nationalism, then what the hell are you talking to people for? You already made up your mind.
What are you listening to this video for?
What the hell are you hoping, that I'm gonna come around and start saying things that you want me to say so you can hear what you want to hear? When the hell have I been in the business of doing that? It's a duck, plain and simple. How do I know? Well, how did I know that this fight wouldn't happen? Why was I so skeptical for so long in a buildup of this news? Why did I question so many times whether or not Oscar would follow through, in spite of all his talk and his ass-clap Thursdays? I could see the duck coming. I could see it a mile away.
Oscar is not in the business of putting on the best fights for the paying customers. Oscar's philosophy is different than what you get from, say, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. Matchroom are willing to roll the dice to put on the best fight and the best show possible.
So sometimes that means the Matchroom fighter loses. Meanwhile, Oscar chastises Eddie for it, giving it away that you don't match your guys that tough,
That's on purpose.
saying that the American boxing scene is dead or that boxing is dying.
Yeah, because of people like you.
You're already giving it away that you would not take the risks with your fighters that Eddie Hearn takes with his. So when William Zepeda is all of a sudden injured, right before he's supposed to fight Shakur, I'm not surprised. I saw it coming. So the byproduct of the Stevenson versus Zepeda fight's collapse is that now young unbeaten Floyd Schofield is calling out Shakur Stevenson, saying, Shakur, you said, if Zepeda ducks you, we are next. I sent Eric Gomez an email asking him to let us fill in, and the winner fights William Zepeda. The ball is now in your court.
Oh, please. You're with the same promoter as William. What are the odds that a fighter who's with the same risk-averse promotional outfit will be allowed to stand in?
Shakur Stevenson responded by saying, come on, I'm down, February 2nd. Let's do it. Tell Oscar, let's get it done. Is Oscar gonna let you fight me? Or is he gonna bluff like he did with your stablemate? Oscar De La Hoya, reach out to Turkey and let's get this going.
Yeah!
Don't social media bluff either. Come see if you can swim with the Sharks. All these dudes say one thing, then their promoter won't even let them come out and play. Let's get some real shit going, not this fake publicity shit. And that's what it is. It's fake publicity shit. I mean, come on.
Come on.
Floyd Schofield's a great young fighter, exciting. I think he has potential, but he's got a boxing dad. Like Danny Garcia's got a boxing dad, Teofimo's got a boxing dad, Jose Benavidez, a mouthy one like Bill Haney.
A protective one.
You think they're gonna throw away all the work they've already put in, all the progress they've made, throw caution to the wind for a one-off with Shakur Stevenson? If you do, I got this bridge I want to sell you. Because you would have to have been born yesterday, maybe the day before that, to think a fight like this is going to get done in a jiffy. This is just Floyd promoting himself, attaching his name to a fight he doesn't expect to happen, and I don't expect it to happen.
The year-long lull that the American boxing scene has been experiencing, emphasis on the American boxing scene, has really just been American fighters arguing with each other online.
The hope is that perhaps next year will be more eventful, that the foundations that have been laid this year will lead to more exciting matchups next year, but I do not expect that this will be one among them, because Floyd Schofield is not now where Shakur Stevenson is. Floyd is just now entering contender status, whereas Shakur is champion status and has been a champion for 3 weight classes now.
He's boring.
One of the biggest problems that Shakur Stevenson faces, one that he won't fess up to, is that he is a boring fighter. That when Isaac Cruz avoids you, and so does Frank Martin, when they withdraw from ordered fights by way of the WBC, and when William Zepeda bails on you, the reason more people aren't angry about it is because they think you're boring, that they don't care if you fight either way. You have to change that. You have to stop blaming Top Rank and lashing out at fans. That's not helping.
Is Shakur an avoided fighter? Yes, he is. Absolutely. He's been avoided by several fighters.
Isaac Cruz walked away from an order by way of the WBC to fight Shakur. Frank Martin did the same thing.
William is faking an injury, so he doesn't have to go on the Shakur Stevenson field trip, and Gervonta would rather fight a super featherweight.
People let them get away with it because they think Shakur is boring, but that doesn't change that he is being avoided. He is being ducked. And I don't think it helps his situation that him and Keyshawn Davis, the new star on the rise, is so buddy-buddy they braid each other's pubic hair and they don't want to fight each other. Shakur cannot afford to be selective.
He's my friend.
Okay. Another mundane chapter in a mundane book that is the American boxing scene in this postmodern era. Is Floyd Schofield the answer for William Zepeda's absence? I'm sorry, I don't think so. I know you'd probably want me to spend more time breaking down the fight, the nuts and bolts.
Enough about the politics. Talk about the fight.
What fight? And that's the point. How do you break down a fight that isn't going to happen? When a fight gets made, I'll talk about the fight. Till then, American boxers. You're talking about American boxers and the American boxing scene. More often than not, what you're talking about is why a fight isn't going to happen.
So look, Shakur doesn't have a dance partner. Now would be the most opportune time for Gervonta Davis to fight him instead of Lamont Roach in what would be a bigger fight than the Lamont Roach fight. Do you think he's gonna do it?
No.
Nope.
No.
Do you want that I should pretend like he is so that we have a fight to break down, a fight to talk about? Would that make you feel better?
Jesus Christ.
Wake up, people. This ain't the makings of a fight that's gonna happen between Floyd and Shakur. It's just digital freeze tag.
That's all American fighters do. Play freeze tag with each other on social media. Argue online.